Hi, I'm Tony Fleming, and this is Fleming's Ultimate Garage. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on today's video. Listen man, in the world of muscle cars, this is one of the top animals out there. From all indications of the stampings, color codes, cowl tags, VIN numbers, stampings on the engine and things like that, this car was born this way. I don't know how many of these were actually built in this color combination with this drivetrain. More importantly, how many are left. This could be the last one left on the planet. I don't really know. And as we walk around, this car is beautifully restored. It is ridiculously powerful, and you're right. If you read about the legendary LS6, these things are animals. Anyway, so let's take a walk around and look at some of the really cool stuff, like when you fire this up, how this comes up, and like that. And then when you step on that gas hard, that fresh air comes right into that real working cowl induction hood. Okay, so come on over here for a second. I like to show quality of paint. All right, and let you be the judge of that. I think this looks very nice. I mean, it really does. And this is a forest green metallic, which is really nice too. In the sunlight, it's got this great glow to it, like this almost gold color underneath. Stripes are painted on, and then the car is clear coated over top of the stripes so that these will last as long as the rest of the paint of the car, and waxing it and things like that won't tear the stripes there. Got the factory hood pins on there, which I just love hood pins. I don't know why. I'm a big freak about hood pins, just because it's so muscle car-like. It really just says that, and on top of it, today's modern car, nobody does that with hood pins, all right? So the 70s Chevelle is loved because it has the twin headlights, all right? And just to give you an idea of the restoration, things like this here, where it's got the T3 headlights, kind of restored the way it's supposed to be, okay? All new chrome, stainless, bumpers, trim around the windshield, the glass is new, all those kinds of things. Down here, polyglass tires with the correct SS wheels for the big block engine, all right? Inside there, what you can't really see, are the disc brakes. All right, and then, well, the one thing I'd like to tell everybody is too, that if you want to, this is really for show, and yes, of course, you can drive it like that, but if you really wanted to drive the car far, you might want to think about radial tires, and we can always swap those out for you. Maybe you want to get some BF Goodrich radial TAs, or you want to do stay with the original polyglass tires, but I will say this, that the radial tire was a huge advance in the early 70s on these cars, and they drive really, really nice with them on it. All right, so the 454 call-outs right here. And let's check here if we could, because this is the part I'd like you to see, is how much detail is done underneath this car. Everything is painted, touched, detailed, great floor pans. It's got the F41 suspension, which you can see back there with the sway bar. More importantly, look how nicely this Chevelle door closes, okay? These cars are known for not having great closing, but listen. First off, listen to that. No double bang of a loose window inside. The fit and finish is nice. It pops open in your hand. It's just nicely done. All right, so we'll keep walking around. Yes, it's bone stock looking, and that's the way you want to buy a collector car like this, all right? It's got the two tips on the back. It's got this SS pad like it's supposed to, but nobody's ever going to know that this is the legendary LS6, all right? Okay, so what we've done for a lot of people who have bought these kinds of cars from us is we have changed the interior over to white if you didn't like this much green, all right? So we have a white interior for this car. We just change it over and we put this interior in the trunk, and you keep it with the car, and you can drive the car around with the white interior in it. So with the white stripes, it would be striking car, and just spectacular. All right, let's take a peek under the hood, because that is why you're buying this car, is for the legend under here. Okay, so come on over, let's check this out. What I really want you to see, and spend a few seconds walking around, is the detail under here. All right, so for instance, like the fender wells are painted the correct satin black. They're not flat black, they're not gloss black, it's not overly restored, it's restored just like it's supposed to be. For instance, tower clamps instead of the cheaper band clamps, GM hoses. This car is designed for you to take it to a show if you want to, okay, or you can just take it out for a drive. Everything is detailed all around the back here, like it's supposed to be. The hood is painted the satin black. It's got the insulation the way it's supposed to be. The vacuum module is in here for the flapper door, so we know that that works when you fire it up. And when we start it, check out the flapper door come down. And I won't get on it that hard to open it up, but you know that it does work because you can see it. All right, so over here, a little bit more detail. This is important because this is expensive stuff. Here is the emissions part. Okay, still in place in the manifolds. You have no idea what it takes to get this stuff, and the cost and what have you to install it in these cars as well. So making this car authentic is really the way to go. The one thing that's not super authentic is the battery itself, because this is a battery topper. Those old style batteries just don't seem to last too long. So we get a new style battery, and then we put this battery topper on here. It does have the correct clamps, with the spring load, and so that way you wouldn't get deducted at a show. But this way you get a good battery that we know will work all the time. Got dual horns, the turn signals work, the headlights work, the high beams work. And you say, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, 9 out of 10 cars, when these cars get here, none of that stuff works. We make sure that all those things there work so that you're nice and safe on the road. You can take another couple out, take the kids out, whatever it is you want to do. Power steering and power disc brakes are on this car. Don't forget to ask about that when you're looking at other cars out there, because that is a big deal. These big heavy cars with no power steering can be a little tough to wrestle around, especially in a parking lot. Cowl induction air cleaner seals nicely right against there, so you get that nice, fresh, dense air. And this car here with this engine loves to have all of that air. One thing I wanted to point out real quick if I could, here's the Winner's Foundry stamping right here on the intake manifold. Okay. But just having the emissions things in there, it doesn't take away any of the power, but the authenticity of it is really, really cool. Okay? All right, let's check out the trunk here. In here you have the floor pans, which have the nice deep embosses in the metal. They're not covered with mud and things like that. This is a nice metal car. Somebody spent a lot of money restoring this car. It's got the right decals and call outs. The truth of the matter is, this is a little nicer than it rolled off the showroom floor, clearly, but maybe that's what you're looking for. It does have a spare tire in it. This isn't the correct spare. It is a date-coated tire. But we could get another Polyglas GT for you if you wanted to show it, or we could get a spare tire cover. Just let us know which one you would like. All right? New gaskets, seals, painted nicely in here. Pinch welds are still in the same spot like they're supposed to be. Just somebody did a nice job. Have a nice clear glass, makes a big difference. Let's look under the back here. Look how nicely detailed it is. The rear end's all painted satin black. You can see the bolts, the shiny bolts and the control arms. All right, F41 suspension, so you can see that the sway bar is hanging down. The gas tank is detailed. This is not a spray bomb detail, this is a detail, show detail. Okay, here we are in the cockpit of the Mega Mother. All right, so part of these muscle cars is that the dashboards are really, really cool. This one here in particular, because it has the factory Tach and it has the full gauges that are going along here. Has the original AM, FM radio, okay? Steering wheel is correct and detailed properly. New dash, carpets, door panels, kick panels, headliner, A-pillar moldings, package shelf, rear panels, rear seat covers. It goes on and on. I'd say really the only thing not authentic is the floor mats in here. And we can put the original Chevelle mats in here if you'd like. But these are kind of nice looking, and they kind of let everybody know that this is not a 396 Chevelle, it's a 454 Chevelle. The rest of everything else lurks underneath the hood. You got a console, factory shifter, okay? And more importantly, I've rambled on about how nice the interior is and how everything seems to fit and look proper the way it's supposed to. But more importantly, we want to start it so you can hear it, okay? So how about I fire it up? Restoration you don't really see when you're purchasing the car. I like to point it out to you so you have an idea of what you're getting. Like, there might be other Chevelles out there, but first off, this car is rattle free. It drives so beautifully. Even with the Polyglas tires on it, it drives wonderfully like a new car. It's solid, it's squeak free, and little stuff like this, like the clock is working. Like, check this out. The radio works, AM, FM stereo works, the oil light works, the high beam indicator works, right? The turn signals, stuff like that, all kind of going on there. All the gauges work. I mean, it's just, it's that kind of car. When you put the parking brake on, that works. You say, well, what's the big deal about that? That's an expensive car. You're right, it is an expensive car, but it's an expensive car just because of the drivetrain, not because of the restoration. These cars here, just a few years ago, were selling for $150,000, and this car here is priced way below market at the moment because the owner needs to sell it. And I think that if you ever wanted to get one, which I spoke about earlier, is just this is the time. If you can afford to get it, man, they're never going to be cheaper. Hey, let's go ahead and close up the video with this. We have an appraisal with the car, authenticating it. You know, we're not appraisers, so we really can't authenticate a car, whether it's matching numbers or not, because we're not licensed to do that. We only know what we see. So the VIN number is stamped on the block. The CRV code is stamped on the block. The date code seems to be correct in there as well. The color code matches, the interior color matches. It's a frame off restoration. You can see from the video, you don't have to be an appraiser or an expert to see that the car is great looking. And if you ever had the opportunity to own one of these cars, now is the time to own them, because these cars are never going to be less expensive than they are today. They are collector grade quality. They have a lot of features, from the disc brakes and power steering, the cowl induction hood, the F41 suspension, the factory Tach engages, on and on. It is just one awesome, awesome piece. And let me just tell you, man, to say you own an LS6 Chevelle 4-speed is really the crown of the muscle cars. Anyway, call us 301-816-1000. We'll tell you all about it.